Good morning. My name is Kevin Intriago. My topic is role of in and hotter in the specification of odontoblasts. Definition. Definition. The odontoblast is a post-mitotic cell that differentiates in the bulb phase of dental hair development from on the midchannel cell of the dental papilla. The odontoblasts are arranged forming a single cell layer were different from the rest of the pulp that line the pulp cavity.
Dentinogenesis is the process of formation of dentine. It starts off with the deposition of predentine, which is an unmineralized organic matrix comprising majorly of collagen and a tiny fraction of non-collagenous proteins. This is followed by mineralization of the organic matrix, thus forming dentine. The organic matrix or proteins comprise mainly type 1 collagen with fraction of type 3 and type 5 collagen. Dentin phosphoprotein, dentin sialoprotein, dentin silophosphoprotein, osteonectin, osteopontin, and GLA protein make up for non-collagenous proteins. Together, they make up around 20% of dentine and along with water comprise 30% of dentine. The rest of the dentine is made of inorganic material composed of hydroxyapatite. Formation of dentine begins in the Bell stage when the undifferentiated dental papilla cells near the inner enamel epithelium start to differentiate into odontoblasts due to the influence of the overlying epithelium. The inner enamel epithelium in the early Bell stage, before differentiating into amyloblasts, secrete growth factors and signaling molecules like transforming growth factor and bone morphogenetic proteins which help in differentiation of dental papilla cells to pre-odontoblasts. Pre-odontoblasts then gradually become bigger in size, elongate to become odontoblasts, and develop numerous organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, and Golgi complex necessary for protein secretion. The nucleus becomes polarized and shifts to a position away from the inner enamel epithelium. Before we get to how dentine secretion happens, let's understand that dentine has two compartments, the mantle dentine and the circumpulpal dentine. Mantle dentine is the first formed dentine, which is around 15 to 20 mm thick and is confined to the upper layers near the enamel. The rest of the dentine is called circumpulpal dentine. Now, odontoblasts, once fully differentiated, start to secrete collagen molecules and non-collagenous proteins in the extracellular region towards the inner enamel epithelium. The initial mantle dentine matrix comprises of mainly type 1 collagen and partly of von Kopff's fibers comprising type 3 collagen. After the odontoblast secretes the initial mantle dentine matrix, it develops a process called the odontoblastic process, which extends into the extracellular matrix. Now, this odontoblastic process, otherwise called Toombs fiber, keeps elongating as more organic matrix is deposited and odontoblast moves towards the pulp. Odontoblastic processes are finally embedded in dentinal tubules in the fully formed dentine.
Application in dentistry. It plays a central role in the and one of the means by which they control the qualification of the predentine matrix in by modulating the extracellular ion environment at step level. Ions transport across the plasma membrane of the odontoblast is essential.
Animated medicine and dental concepts, thereby making it simpler and more interesting to watch. Now getting on to today's concept. Sensitive tooth at times affects daily activities of an individual. It is an oral health issue which has to be considered globally. People may experience pain or a kind of discomfort as a response to certain triggers. Therefore, a variety of theories have been put forth to explain the mechanism in the etiology of sensitivity. This is the schematic representation of dentin, predentin, odontoblast along with free nerve endings, followed by dentinal tubules and pulp. According to direct innervation theory, nerve endings penetrate dentin and extend to dentinoenamel junction. Direct stimulation of these nerves will initiate a pain response. On having closer look, the zones of dentin, predentin, odontoblast along with its process are present in this picture. But the nerve fibers are present only in inner dentinal zones and predentin, but not extending all the way up to dentinoenamel junction, which is the most sensitive part of dentin. Because of this shortcoming, this theory is no longer accepted. Then comes odontoblast receptor theory, states that membrane of odontoblastic process is excited by stimulus and impulse is conducted to nerve ending in the inner dentinal zone. Since there is no synaptic relationship has been established between axon and odontoblast process, this theory also has been disproved. Finally, hydrodynamic theory, the most accepted mechanism to explain sensitivity of tooth. Based on this theory, sensitivity in dentin is a transient tooth pain. By the absence of smear layer, when subjected to any kind of stimuli, the fluid within dentinal tubule moves and makes contact with nerve ending and deforming it. Once the nerve ending gets deformed, it acts as mechanoreceptors to produce impulse, ultimately causing pain response. Thanks for watching. Hope you will like my video. Please share, subscribe and comment.
Pros and cons. Illustrate the role of epidemiogenic regulation in odontogenesis, which plays an important role in the self-renewal and differentiation of stem cell derived from dental tissue today, and there will be a new strategy for tooth regeneration.
Amelogenesis is the process of enamel formation, which starts with the deposition of enamel matrix by ameloblasts, followed by the mineralization of the matrix. Enamel matrix essentially consists of organic material composed of two groups of proteins, namely amelogenins and non-amelogenins. Non-amelogenins consist of proteins enamelin, tuftelin, and ameloblastin. The amelogenins form the bulk of the enamel proteins, comprising at least 90%. And once enamel is fully formed, organic material makes up only 4% of the enamel, and the inorganic portion of enamel is composed of hydroxyapatite and comprises of 96% of enamel. Amelogenesis is divided into three stages referred to as the pre-secretory, the secretory, and the maturation stages. The pre-secretory stage is the phase in which inner enamel epithelial cells differentiate to become ameloblasts that are ready for secretion. In the secretory stage, ameloblasts secrete organic matrix comprising various enamel proteins, forming the entire enamel thickness. Ameloblasts carry out activities in the maturation stage that help in degradation of enamel matrix and subsequent replacement by minerals or inorganic material, thus completing the process of enamel formation. The pre-secretory stage is further subdivided into two phases, referred to as the morphogenetic phase and the differentiation phase. In the morphogenetic phase, the enamel organ is in the bell stage of tooth development and the shape of the crown is established. The inner enamel epithelial cells are low columnar or cuboidal cells with a central nucleus. Golgi apparatus is located in the proximal portion of the cell, that is towards the stratum intermedium, and the other cytoplasmic components are scattered across the cell. During the phase of differentiation, the inner enamel epithelium starts to differentiate to become an ameloblast. The cell elongates and becomes tall columnar, and the nucleus that was previously at the center shifts proximally. Golgi complex shifts distally, that is towards the dental papilla, and mitochondria that were scattered
Use applied in Ecuador. Current knowledge of epigenetic regulation includes DNA methylation, histone modification, and non-coding RNAs during odontogenesis, the theoretical basis for tooth regeneration.
Before proceeding, please make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for upcoming videos. This video will be divided into two parts. In the first part of this video, we will talk about the structure, the composition, and types of dentine. and in the second part of this video about dentinogenesis, or the process of dentin formation. If you haven't watched my previous videos on developmental stages of the tooth, please watch them first for a much clearer concept on today's topic. Dentin is the second mineralized tissue of the tooth, lying immediately under the enamel, and it makes up the bulk of a tooth. It's harder than bone but softer than enamel. It's made up of 70% of inorganic material, that is hydroxyapatite crystals, and 20% of organic material. The collagenous and non-collagenous proteins contribute to its organic part, with the collagenous proteins making up 90% of its organic part and the non-collagenous proteins which makes up only 10% of its organic part. Also noted that the remaining 10% of dentin is made up of water. The collagenous proteins is mainly type 1 collagen with small amounts of type 3 and type 5 collagen in it. The non-collagenous proteins of its organic part is made up of a wide range of proteins, like dentin phosphoproteins, dentin sialoproteins, dentin glycoproteins.
Conclusion. The understanding of the molecular basis and the matches inverted in primary and the secondary dentogenesis, as well as the role played by the protein of the dentin matrix and the odontoblast in the mineralization of the printing matrix and necessary preliminary step to the able to undo with foundation the student on the reactive and the reproductive process of the dental complex against external aggression.